Jimmy Butler, he's a very interesting player to me.
He's like, oh, shoot, I don't know where to go with the ball because I haven't been able to think.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life. Now LeBron's a 4-time champion, and Anthony Davis gets his first.
It's unacceptable. So happy when the Astros lost because it would definitely be a 2020 thing.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov, that was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
Stay undefeated when they face the mighty Cowboys with Garrett Gilbert.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sandler, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. Right before the NFL season starts, we have our top 32 quarterback list. And Austin, this one, I really like all the quarterbacks on this list. Of course, there are levels to it, but I'm pretty happy if I got to the 25, if I had to deal with this quarterback.
Yeah, this was a little bit interesting for me because there's some guys. This is a little bit different than the other ones we do for everyone listening, because we don't really look at these like I look at top 10s or whatever, because there's some guys on here that aren't starters. So this isn't really a prediction in the same way that it is for other ones. It's more of just me saying the 32 best QBs, in my opinion, in order. Was there a certain range of QBs you struggled to hammer down, or was it kind of just overall it gets a little bit tough towards the middle?
It got tough towards the middle because some guys I think have high potential. And then there are guys that have proven it, have done it consistently, and have been longtime starters in the NFL. But you have to think about maybe they've just fallen off and they're near the end of their careers. So, yeah, and this is funny because I got bored in class one day and I decided to start jotting down rankings, and that's what led to all the top 10s we have now.
Yeah, at least this one. I think we may have progressed to top 10s, but I don't think we ever even thought about doing something like this until you created that.
Yeah, it was just like I wanted to rank the quarterbacks, and then it was like, what if we ranked all the other positions? So, but this one is the one where we do 32, and it's 32 quarterbacks. It does not have to be starters in the NFL. So I'll let you. I think we're going to do the first 4. And then we also have tiers to explain it, but we're not going to go by tiers because my first tier has about, I think, over 10 people. Yeah.
Yeah, my first tier has like 8. I think it's 8 people.
All right.
So,
yeah. So do you want to do your first 4?
Yeah, I'll do my first 4. This is 32 to 29. Again, these are not all starters. This first tier that are going to be the first 8 people are need to prove their starting caliber. So all these guys have questions of whether or not they're starting caliber. And they got to prove that this year. Whether they have potential or not, that's a different conversation. But these guys are Daniel Jones, Malik Willis, Joe Flacco, and J.J. McCarthy. Malik Willis is my only backup. He won a good bit of games with the Packers last year, and I do think he's better than Spencer Rattler or any starter for the Saints. And also, that's the only team without a starting quarterback here. And my honorable mentions, I'll mention those really quickly, are Spencer Rattler and Anthony Richardson. Both those guys did not make my list.
Those guys did not make my list as well. And neither did Malik Willis, but he's a good name on here. I do have a backup quarterback, though. But my first tier is inconsistent. And that can apply to some of these guys haven't played yet, and they haven't shown their consistency. Others have proven themselves. I like how you and I are right on the same page with 32, as 32 is Daniel Jones. Then I go to 31, Cam Ward. 30, J.J. McCarthy. 29, Joe Flacco.
Nice. You added one more honorable mention. I don't know if he's going to be your backup, but I just remembered this guy should be an honorable mention. I added Cooper Rush as well. Because
he is not on my list, but he is.
I think that he should be an honorable mention for me because, I mean, he can win games. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like he could be a starter on the right team.
On the right team, I think he's the perfect backup. Because he can come in, win you some games, but there is a shelf life on him. that I think you've seen some teams that just dominate.
But
The
I don't know if
Eagles are
that's
one.
not because of the situation around him, because last year that wasn't great.
Yeah. Well, no, I remember when he was undefeated, and then before Dak came back, he faced the Eagles, and it was bad. But
Well, again, that's
yeah.
what teams didn't struggle against the Eagles is kind of my point.
Yeah, to me, he's the perfect backup quarterback. He'd be.
I think
in
that's
the top
fair.
10.
But he's 9-5 in his career as a starter.
Yeah,
With 20 touchdowns and only 10 picks in those 14 starts.
yeah, he's just someone I think he's perfect in his role. Doesn't really need to be elevated, but I would be interested to see him elevated.
Yeah. So who is your 28 to 25?
So 28 is Michael Penix, and he is still part of inconsistent. Bryce Young at 27, 26 Drake May, and then 25 Aaron Rodgers.
Okay. So these are the last four in my need to prove their starting caliber. It's Cam Ward at 28, Trevor Lawrence at 27. He really struggled last year. He was 2-8 as a starter, had 11 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. 26 is Michael Penix, and 25 is Bryce Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young. I do have Trevor Lawrence a bit higher, and I've always been higher on him, but he did have a poor year. And
Well, even the season before that, he only had 21 touchdowns and 14 picks. He's struggled thus far in his career after the surprising playoff victory that he did have.
Yeah. I like how we both have Bryce Young in our second grouping. He's my 27. He's someone that started to come on, but he struggled a lot in his rookie season.
Yeah. We'll go into my 24 to 21 range. This is a new tier. It's called Still Questions. So these are guys that I think are more solid than the tier before, but there's still questions regarding where they could lead you. So they're starters, in my opinion, but so they don't have to prove they're starters, but there's still questions regarding where they can take you playoff-wise. 24 is Aaron Rodgers. 23 is Russell Wilson. 22 is Justin Fields. And 21 is Sam Darnold.
All right. I think you and I share a lot of similarities in this next list. This one is a mix. So the first three that I am about to say are still part of that inconsistent. 24 is Justin Fields. 23 is Russell Wilson. 22 is Sam Darnold. So I've said those three, they are inconsistent. Sam Darnold is also in your still questions, correct?
He's in still questions. So he's not in need to prove their starting caliber, but he's in my still questions.
And he's someone that so after inconsistent for me is average, where it's similar to you. They've proven they're starters, but they're not absolutely amazing, but they're a guy that can compete at the NFL level.
Got it.
Inconsistent is still deciding. There are moments where they compete, then there are moments where it's like, what are they doing? I think Justin Fields is a guy that does that. Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers at their careers now are guys that can do that because they show what they used to have, but now, and it's a mix of what they are now. But then my 21, who is an average guy that I think he should be an NFL starter, and this is my backup, Kirk Cousins, is at 21.
That's somebody I forgot on my list. I'll add him to my honorable mentions, and I think it's because we don't know where he's going to be or if he's going to play it all this season because we don't know. That's definitely somebody I should have on my list. You're right. I think he's better than a lot of people give him credit for. That's a good shout.
And he's a guy that can compete at the NFL level.
I think he's a starter as well. I probably messed up not having him here, but also if he doesn't play it all this season, I think I'd be justified in having him. But that's a good point. So go to your 20 through 17.
Okay, so my 20 through 17, this is still an average. 20 is Tua, 19 is Trevor Lawrence, 18 is Kyler Murray. And then I'm going to 17, right?
Yes.
My 17 is Bo Nix.
Okay. So we're getting close. This is the guy I had at 20 that you had a lot lower. Is Drake May. My 19 is Tua. My 18 is Caleb Williams. And my 17 is Geno Smith. So Tua's led a team to the playoffs, and so has Geno Smith. I think both only one time. I think Tua maybe twice. I don't actually know. And if it was, I know that both those guys did not win a playoff game. Still, Caleb has a lot to prove this year. He showed flashes, but I still think there's question marks regarding him. And then Drake May, young guy, has a good offense around him, new coach that should help him progress as a player.
Yeah, I'm interested in what you see in Drake May. You talk about the offense around him, but what about him makes you feel if he was in I would say a better offense last year and under a better coach, kind of what do you expect from him?
In only 12 starts, he had 15 touchdowns. He did have 10 picks, but he also has rushing ability. He had 421 yards, which is 32 rushing yards a game, and also had 2 rushing touchdowns. He had a good completion percentage at 66.6%, and I think that he'll continue to grow as a passer. That's the one thing that I think he was kind of lacking with, but I think that's partially because of the wide receiver room around him. Now they've added Stephon Diggs, Demario Douglas is back. They have some rookies like Kyle Williams. They also have a rookie running back in Travion Henderson. I think should add some support as well. And also, they drafted for their O-line, which I think was a big reason why he was throwing so many picks, is because he was just getting hit a lot and had to get rid of the ball too quickly to make some reads. And now he'll actually have time in the pocket so that he can make correct throws.
Yeah, he's someone where there's a lot of potential, but to me, he has to show it before I can see it, because he was viewed as a very raw prospect compared to the guys ahead of him that have kind of shown already what they can do. Tua, for me, was someone where he had an excellent completion percentage, 72.9%.
All those passes are so short. I mean, they're 2-yard routes, basically.
Yeah. But it was way above than what he had done before. But to me, I like the talent of Trevor Lawrence, but he really has to show it. This is a huge year for him because his completion percentage has been low, and he and Tua are tied with picks. But yeah, and then to me, the biggest thing with Tua is the short routes, but also injuries.
Yeah, injuries are definitely a concern for him. Do you want to give your 16 to 13?
Yes. So my 16 is Geno Smith. 15 is Caleb Williams. 14 Matthew Stafford, and then 13 Brock Purdy.
So we're pretty far on Brock Purdy. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. 16 to 13. So 16 and 15 are still in the still questions mark. That's Bo Nix and Kyler Murray. Both those guys, again, have led their teams to playoffs before. Neither of them have a playoff win. And then we move into the solid category. This is 14 through 10, and it's Matthew Stafford at 14, and 13 is C.J. Stroud, who did have a down year last year.
Yeah, I'll get to C.J. Stroud in a little bit. He's a guy I'm still high on, but he did have a bad year. And also, I forgot to mention, so Kirk Cousins started the average tier, and then Caleb Williams ended the average tier. Matthew Stafford and Brock Purdy are in the strong starters category, where these are they're above starter, just average level. They can make key plays, but it does get into which one is better, who has more talent. And I really like how you and I have Matthew Stafford at 14. And he's someone that he can make incredible passes, but to me, it's the injuries that are worrisome for me.
Yeah, and that's a fair concern.
And then Caleb Williams is a guy that I believe in that potential, and I believe he's going to fully – you talk about Drake May and a better offense. I think having a cohesive offensive mind for Caleb Williams is really going to benefit him, as he still put up 3,541 yards and only turned over the ball 6 times, but 20 touchdowns as well. But he's someone where I could see him break into that strong starters category. That's why he's the last one in average. But I'm very interested to see, because he was a guy dealing with so many different offense coordinators in just year one.
Yeah, that's true. So I'll go into 12 to 9. So 12 through 10 is, again, still in the solid category. Baker Mayfield at 12, Jordan Love at 11, Dak Prescott at 10, and then the first in the great category is Jared Goff.
Okay. So we share a lot we share a lot of names. 12 for me is Baker Mayfield. 11 is Dak Prescott. 10 is Jalen Hurts. 9 is Jared Goff. And
10
these are
is
all.
Jalen Hurts. Wow.
He's someone where he had 2,903 yards compared to everyone else that was low. He's a guy where he's very good. I don't know how great of a passer he is because there are some moments where he has some great passers, but it's sort of that consistency for me. And when you look at Jared Goff, highest completion percentage he's had in his career, 72.4, 4,629 yards, 37 touchdowns. Jalen Hurts only had 18 passing touchdowns. And then Jared Goff is the end of the strong starters category.
So Jared Goff was your 9?
9, yes.
Okay. I just think with Jalen Hurts that playoff stats matter. And Jalen Hurts in both Super Bowls that he's played in has been remarkable. In the playoffs in total, he's been one of the best QBs in a very long time. I mean, his playoff track record is extremely impressive.
He has a lot of capabilities of a guy that I would want in a quarterback. It's showing that over a full season, but once he gets into the playoffs, I think he's a great leader. And I know people will make fun of his quotes, but I really think he has some great leadership in keeping the team level. And when it gets to those big moments, he does shine. But it's showing that over the full season.
Yeah. I just think that bringing up only the passing touchdowns is a little bit disingenuous because he also had 14 rushing touchdowns.
Yes. But how many? I wish there was a stat. A lot of it does come down to the 1 yard line with his rushing.
That's still rushing touchdowns, right? If you throw, well, here's my thing. If you throw the ball to the 1 yard line and then run it in, that's basically a passing touchdown you're arguing then. Which, right, would increase his numbers because it's not only that the Saquon's running the ball to the 1 yard line and then they run it in. It's passes. It's a lot of other things. Sometimes Jalen Hurts runs it to the 1 yard line and then they do the tush push. So I don't think it's disingenuous. I think it's disingenuous again to say that those touchdowns don't count.
I think there should be an asterisk with given the tush push.
Why is that? Because again, Jalen Hurts is hurting his own passing touchdown numbers by having that. That's
true, but it's also a lot of it does come to play calling and just how effective that play is. He does play a great part in that.
But he is an integral part of that play being as successful. We've seen how in past years how other teams have done on the tush push. It has not been comparable. And even after losing Jason Kelce, they were still the best team in the league by far last year. And I think that's because of how strong Jalen Hurts is.
He is very strong. And to me, he has the ability. He's not the guy where he can break off and have a large rushing touchdown, but he's someone that where you do get to the 1 yard line, he does make great plays. But
he had a 35-yard run last year.
He did, but most of his rushing touchdowns come from the tush push at the 1 yard line.
But again, that's hurting his touchdown numbers passing. So I think you can't use both as negatives. You get what I'm saying?
Yes. And part of it is a negative, but the passing offense did struggle last year compared to what it was a few years ago.
Sure, but he also threw the least amount of picks of his entire career. So it's not like he's turning over the ball.
Yeah, that's another thing. He's great with not turning over the ball. It's just I do think the guys above him are better passers to me.
That's true, but I don't think that's all that a QB brings. But we can move on. I'll let you do your 8 through 5.
So my 8 through 5 is 8 is Jordan Love, 7 is CJ Stroud, 6 is Jaden Daniels, and then I say 5, right? Or do I stop?
You can say 5.
Justin Herbert.
Okay. So my 8 is Brock Purdy. My 7 is Justin Herbert. My 6 is Jaden Daniels. And my 5 is Jalen Hurts.
Okay. All right. I was curious where you were going to have Justin Herbert. And Jordan Love starts the above average category. And Justin Herbert ends the above average category.
So Jaden Daniels is the last person in great, and then I have top 5 as my top 5. So top 5 QBs is my top 5 tier.
Okay. My top 4 is game changers, but I will defend CJ Stroud. He did have a terrible year last year. Compared to him and what he set, he had 12 interceptions in 20 touchdowns, but he's someone that he's going to rebound off that, and he was dealing with a lot.
That's what we talked about. Like the CJ Stroud had 20 passing touchdowns and 0 rushing touchdowns, and Hurts had 18 passing touchdowns and 14 rushing touchdowns.
Yes, but I believe CJ Stroud's not really a mobile quarterback.
And that can't be used as a negative for Hurts, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not saying it. Yes, it is a negative, but Hurts does provide. He provides a weapon on the ground, but to me, he's not great as a weapon as his touchdown numbers show in rushing touchdowns.
But I'm saying that his passing touchdowns, I think, should be higher if he did not use the tush push to the level that they do. I
don't think CJ Stroud is, to me, a better deep passer than Jalen Hurts was last year.
Sure, but I'd say that Jalen Hurts is a better short-range passer than Stroud is.
Yeah, they're different quarterbacks, but to me, I like the ceiling of CJ Stroud, which I think he shows this year and showed in his rookie
But the
year.
Ceiling with Jalen Hurts is winning a Super Bowl.
I don't know if you can play ceiling of accomplishing the Super Bowl. He does get you to the Super Bowl, but it was more of a whole team effort.
But Saquon was very bad in the Super Bowl. He had 25 rushes, Kevin, for 57 yards. That's basically 2 yards a carry. They had no running game at all, except for Jalen Hurts, who had 11 rushes for 72 yards. Hurts had the longest rush of the game, almost double that of Saquon. He had a rushing touchdown, and he also threw for more yards than Mahomes did when it mattered. We'll ignore the 50-yard passing touchdown that Mahomes had at the end of the game to Xavier Worthy.
To me, Jalen Hurts each year shows. I'm very interested to see what he does, but to me, the guys are better passers than him, and he does provide a threat on the ground. But to me, it doesn't equal what he has not consistently shown in the passing game.
Okay. We'll see how he performs this year. I'll do my top 4 first because you did the last category first. My number 4 is Lamar. My number 3 is Josh Allen. My number 2 is Joe Burrow. And I still have Mahomes at 1. I think this is going to be a bounce back year for Mahomes. He has struggled the past 2 years. I can admit that. He's been decent in the playoffs. In the Super Bowl, he was very bad. But I think that turns around completely this year. This is a big year for Mahomes and the Chiefs to prove, for Mahomes at least, that he has not lost that QB that he was his first 4 years.
Yes. You and I share the same top 2, but this one, my 4 is Josh Allen. He's shown an incredible year, but when I saw the stats of Lamar Jackson, I gave the edge to Lamar Jackson. But these are 2 quarterbacks that we've talked about in recent videos of how there is a question of playoff success and what can they do. To me, Josh Allen has done more in the playoffs than Lamar Jackson, but looking at Lamar Jackson's number, he had a better completion percentage, more passing yards, and more passing touchdowns, and fewer picks. Lamar Jackson had 41 passing touchdowns and 4 interceptions. And to me,
this is again where we get into rushing touchdowns. Lamar, the running quarterback, had 4 rushing touchdowns. And I don't think it's fair to even say, Derrick Henry, because James Cook had 16 rushing touchdowns and Josh Allen had 12.
I was more focusing on the passing. To me, Lamar Jackson provides a threat on the ground as a runner, but he doesn't have the touchdowns, as you mentioned. But to me, he has that threat for those big plays, even though they may not result in touchdowns. To me, it's the ability of him to blend that rushing and passing and limiting his interceptions. But it was really tough to me. It felt better to have. I would rather have Lamar Jackson than Josh Allen, even though Josh Allen had one of his better years. Looking at the year before, as I double check, he had a better completion percentage when he didn't win MVP and more yardage.
But he threw 10 more picks.
Yeah,
so,
10 more picks.
But Lamar last year had double the fumbles that Josh Allen did. Josh Allen only had 5 fumbles and Lamar had 10.
Yeah. To me, this is going to be the hot debate between Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. And I think it's going to be playoff success of who proves who's the better quarterback. Because Lamar Jackson really hasn't shown what he can do in the regular season in the playoffs. But to me, his regular season he's shown consistently he can be better in the regular season. Josh Allen last year was incredible, especially with his turnovers, because he finally figured it out. That's been the main problem for him. But to me, Lamar Jackson provides another aspect that I like more than Josh Allen, which is that explosive ability, even though Josh Allen does also present a great threat on the ground.
Yeah. I'm going to have Josh Allen above Lamar. I think the playoffs do matter to me. They're tight. And then I think that Burrow and Mahomes are a clear top 2. I could see you arguing Burrow, but until Burrow, I need Burrow to have more playoff success. And even though he has beaten Mahomes, and he's the only player in the AFC to have beaten Mahomes in the playoffs that's still active, this is a big year for him. I'm putting him at 2 with expectations that he could possibly be 1 next year, depending on how he plays this year.
And it depends on how Mahomes plays as well.
That's true.
Because
this is a big year for Mahomes. Big year.
Yeah. I did have the thought, I was like, I wonder if Austin's going to put Burrow over Mahomes. And I almost thought about arguing Burrow over Mahomes, because Mahomes had a poor year. He did have 3,928 yards, but 26 touchdowns and 11 interceptions, compared to Burrow with 43 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. And he had a great completion percentage of 70.6. He's a guy that, yes, he does have great wide receivers. He's someone that demonstrates that ability of just toughness and clutchness. And it's hard to gauge that. But all 4 of these guys I labeled as game changers, because they really do change the game with what they can do. They have that extra gear that only guys show glimpses of.
Yeah. This is a big year for a lot of people. I think for Burrow, Allen, and Lamar, big year for all 3 of those guys to kind of prove. I don't think it's going to be hard for me to move Hurts down because of the season he had last year in the playoffs. Again, he's both of his Super Bowls. I'd argue he's either outplayed Mahomes or been very close to playing Mahomes, even the one that Mahomes won. If Hurts doesn't have that one fumble, I mean, they weren't getting stopped on offense. But those 3 guys, I think, had the most to prove this season.
Yeah, I'm one guy so CJ Stroud had an incredible rookie year, then had a rough second year. Jaden Daniels had an incredible rookie year. Not only with regular season success, but also postseason success. I am curious, how does he perform in year 2?
Yeah, and I think it's a big year for Stroud to prove that last year was more of a fluke than his first year.
Yes. Yeah, and to me, this is lowest. 10 is the lowest for Hurts, and to me, it was more, I like these guys better than him. And that's where I had a lot of guys where did you have Brock Purdy?
8.
Okay, 8. Where it was tough. Like, this guy is really good, but I think these guys have shown they're better. And I'm very curious to see, because I think we both have Jaden Daniels as the best quarterback in the NFC.
No, because I have Hurts at 5.
Okay, you have Hurts at 5. Okay. Got it. Because my top 5 was all AFC quarterbacks, and Yeah,
Who was your
it's going to
five?
be big years. My
Herbert?
5 was Justin Herbert,
That's right.
which this is a big year for him.
Yes, that's true. I had him at 7.
Yeah, which I understand putting him lower. He's someone that I think he's starting to get more weapons around him, and he can finally demonstrate what talent he has, but he also has to prove it.
Good. Yeah, it's a big year for a lot of guys. QB is a very tough position to play, and the expectations are higher than any other position in all sports. So we'll see how these rankings look at the end of the year, and then we'll get ready for next year. This is probably my favorite ranking video to do preseason.
Yeah, it's really fun, and it gets talking about the quarterbacks, and we have different opinions, but I'm very interested to see how it goes, and make sure you follow us for more, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.